Hi not board gamers, and welcome back to Not Board Gaming. I'm your host, I'm Mark, and today's episode is the very first in an occasional series where we are previewing games that either haven't come to Kickstarter yet or haven't hit retail yet. And the honour of the very first game that we are previewing is going to be Outbreak by Richard Davis and Dark Frontier Games. Now, before we start the review, a couple of things on this. First of all, I was not paid for this preview at all. Richard reached out and asked if I wouldn't mind having a look at the game, and I decided that it was that good that, quite frankly, I wanted to do a video on it. And secondly, it's really important to note that this is a prototype, so some of the components are handmade and some of them are hand printed. And I know since I've received this prototype, I think there's a further iteration as well. So any of my comments and my views are obviously based on a prototype which is subject to change prior to the final release. So what is Outbreak? Well, Outbreak is a zombie apocalyptic game for 1 to 8 players. That's right, you can play it solo or you can have 8 players. If you do play it solo, you can control 4 characters, and the aim of the game is to kind of make sure that your settlement survives this ongoing slew of zombie hordes. And trust me, this game really starts to rack up the tension. So let me show you a little bit more about Outbreak, the zombie apocalypse board game for 1 to 8 players by Richard Davis and Dark Frontier Games. So you know the score. There has been some kind of cannibal influenza, and large portions of the earth have been infected by this cannibal influenza, and the name of cannibal influenza kind of spells out what's happening. That's right, it's turned everybody that's been infected into these marauding, shuffling, lumbering, flesh-eating, brain-sucking zombies who have but one purpose in their existence, and that purpose is to quite literally have you for dinner. And you, if you've seen any episode of The Walking Dead, or you've watched Day of the Dead, or Dawn of the Dead, should I say, then you're going to know the score here. You're going to be in charge of a settlement, and this settlement is either going to grow or constrict throughout the game. Chances are it's going to constrict and get smaller as you are surrounded by hordes of flesh-eating, brain-sucking undead. The aim of the game is to survive this cannibal influenza, survive these marauding hordes of zombies, and certainly survive the very big bad. And there's either 1 or 2, depending on which difficulty you play, that's going to come out towards the back end of the game and try and have you, your colleagues, your settlement, everybody you've ever loved in their belly. So the first thing you're going to do when you kind of set the game up is you're going to consult this handy little table in the rulebook. And this tells you how many settlement tiles you're going to lay out depending on how many players are actually playing the game. If you go to 8 players, you're going to lay 16 out. But as you can see, I'm playing a single player. I will control 4 survivors, and therefore I lay out 8 settlement tiles. The main base goes in the middle, the other tiles go around it, and then the rest of the settlement tiles that you've got are going to go up into the top corner, just up there. And oops, there we go, because you may well call on those settlement tiles a little bit later throughout the game. So that's a town setup, but let's face it, a town is just a town. You know, this thing could go on quite happily, but you do need some zombies, and the zombies come in many different guises. There are a number of difficulty levels that you can play in the game, and a number of level of zombies that come in the game. And as you can see, we have another table here, and you can play a game either 2 hour, a 2 hour normal game, a 2 hour hard game, or a 3 hour plus very hard game, and this will dictate how many zombies you're going to put into your stack of zombies. Here for the 2 hour normal game, there's a total of 54 zombies, ranging from 20 level 1s through to 2 level 6, and there's going to be 1 level 1 big bad guy final encounter. Now, I have already counted out my stack of 54 different types of zombies. So let's just have a quick look at some of these. We have a zombie horde, that's a level 3. We have a feral horde, that's a level 2, and all these icons will make sense as we go through it. We have a running horde. There we go. That's a level 3. Another level 2, an ancient horde of a level 4. There's level 1s there. There we go. So you can see there's a large number of various types of zombies. And there we go. That's a level 6. Get your chops around that. That's going to require some massive amount to kill it. But however, that's not all you will do. What you'll do is you'll get all those different types of zombies. You'll shuffle them all together and create your stack. And then you're going to choose one of your big bads. What are the big bads? These are the big bads. So over here we have level 2 big bads, and over here we have level 1 big bads. And as you can see, it says here, if I'm playing the normal game, a 2-hour game, I'm going to take one level 1 big bad. So I will take one of these cards at random, and I'm going to add it into my stack. So let's just shuffle this up. 1, 2, 3. Oops, the one that flew out we will take. And then what you do is you count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards from the bottom of the stack. You take your big bad, you shuffle that in there. Whoops, I am rubbish at shuffling. There's no reflection on the game. There we go, and we add them to the bottom of the stack. And you know, for those final 8 cards, that what's going to happen there is when you pull out those final 8 cards, then you are going to encounter the big bad at some point, and all of your zombies go up there. So we've got our zombie stack, we set our settlement up, we have our big bad in play, our level 1 big bad in play, but still this settlement, it's okay, there's nothing really happening there. Well, before you even start the game, what you're going to do is you're going to take your zombie stack and you're going to surround every open space in your settlement with a zombie tile. And you know, under each of these tiles there is a horde ranging from level 1 to level 6. Certainly there's no big bads at this stage. Level 1 to level 6 surrounding your settlement. And there we go. You can already see the basis of this game is that you are surrounded, and things are gonna go from bad to worse for you. So of course you're going to then need to choose your survivors, and as you can see, the version of the game that I've got comes with 10 survivors, and as a solo player I'm going to choose 4 of these. So I could choose a sharpshooter, a survivalist, maybe I choose a mercenary and a marshal, or maybe a sentinel or a diplomat. You can see that there's a wide variety of survivors to choose, and you're going to choose 4 of these as a solo player. So when you set your survivor, you will then get your little survivor meeple, and as you can see, the meeples are kind of 3D printed at the moment, and you will place them on the main square of the town, which is your main base, along with the helpless token as well. And each survivor will get a number of resources and some fortune cards depending on which survivor you actually use. There are a number of other tokens and items that you will set up: wound tokens, the resources, the kind of barrage tokens, the kind of fortification tokens, and you can see that there are some great looking zombie meeples and also some other fortification buildings that you can put on the board as well. Each day when you play will take play over 3 phases. You have the opening phase, you have the survivor phase, and then you have the zombie phase. The first thing you're going to do in the opening phase is you're going to move the day tracker on 1. This is on turn number 1. In subsequent terms you will also reveal doom if there's any doom to reveal. You're also going to reveal your hordes as well, and this is where you start to see what zombies are coming for you, and you will each survivor that is there will choose 1 horde to reveal. Let me show you how that works. So the revealing hordes phase is potentially one of my favourite parts of this game, because this is where you will start to see kind of what you're up against and what you're facing. And as I say, there are 4 survivors. As you can see, they're all on the main base there. Each survivor is going to then reveal a tile. So let's do this and let's reveal 4 tiles. Right, we have a level 2 feral horde there. We have a level 1 ancient horde. We have a level 1 zombie horde, and we also have a level 1 zombie infector. And what happens is when you reveal these tiles, you're going to place zombies on them, but there are certain icons on here which kind of dictate what happens with the zombies and also what happens on the board around you as well. So let's take this level 1 zombie infector then. So when you reveal these tiles, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to place your zombie here, and as the game progresses, the zombie will move on to the next tile, the next icon, and then if it's still alive on the third day, what will happen is the zombie horde will then infect a nearby settlement. At the top here, you can see an icon, and this is a crate. Now, each survivor will start the game with a number of resources, and there we can see the pilot and the soldier. The pilot has like a petrol can there, and the soldier has some dynamite. And what these icons here are these are the resources that you need to either have or roll with dice when you're attacking the zombies to kill them. So if I was to roll the dice and I got a crate out, then that would kill one single crate out, that would kill this particular horde. However, I'll show you in a little bit that it's not always easy as getting one kill or one shot. Now, not every tile also has an icon in the left-hand corner down here, and what that means is that there is almost a contamination effect. In fact, this is contamination. So on this one, what this would be is I would then place a contamination token on each kind of adjacent settlement tile to that particular horde. So when I've revealed that, there's a contamination token. I'm just going to put that on there. And contamination effect is, and you do get a handy kind of cheat sheet which tells you everything. Place a contamination token on all adjacent settlements. At the end of the zombie phase, survivors on a contaminated settlement take 1 wound. Helpless and settlers are killed and restore the settlement. You need to do a restore settlement action to remove it. So that's that. And there's also, on some of them, there is an icon in the right as well. So on this feral horde, this number 2, you can see the zombie's should start there, but this icon on the left means he will actually start there. So on his next turn, if he's not killed, he will then take over a settlement. When I do defeat this particular zombie, then this thing, the icon on the right, comes into play. And they're not always favourable, but sometimes they are. So let's see what that icon on the right is. And there we go. It says, if I kill the zombie, I would recover 1 wound. So that's kind of how the zombies work. Let's just pick another card at random here. This is a good one, okay? So this is great. This shows that I need to roll or have in my resources 2 petrol tanks, 2 petrol cans and 2 dynamites to defeat this level 4 zombie. When I do defeat it, I'm going to draw a doom card, and we'll talk about doom cards in a while. So there we go. I've got my kind of opening tiles on. We're going to place the zombies on now. So we know that this one has this icon, so he's going to go there. And you do have these great zombie meeples. This one is going to go there. This one is going to go there, and this one is going to go there, and I've already placed my contamination token there. So in the opening phase now, what's going to happen is I've revealed the hordes, the settlers and the helpless move, and this is like the people that you're protecting in the town, you can move them, and then you would also replenish hordes. So it's as I kill zombies, so if I killed that zombie, there would be a gap in that particular place, and what I would do is I would then fill gaps with another tile. So you can see success comes with a cost, and that cost is no matter how much you kind of kill the zombies, there's always more zombies there waiting to take its place. So now let's talk about the survivor part of the game. So that's kind of the opening phase done, and we've kind of progressed the board a little bit. We've got our zombie hordes on the board, and we know what zombies we're tackling in this first round. We also know that it's almost going to be a never-ending stream of these green buggers until we can actually kill the big bad towards the back end of the game. Now it's the survivor phase, and survivors, that's each of these guys here that you've got, have a number of actions, and they can carry out each of these actions once during their particular phase, and there's quite a few they can choose from there. So the first thing is, of course, they can move. There's no point having static survivors on a board. You want them to move, and the amount that they can move is dictated to by the arrow on their survivor sheet as well. And you can also see that they also have health on there as well, and that's how many fortune cards they take at the beginning and that's their favoured kind of resource that they use. So you know this has got a wooden crate. Here, they also, each survivor has a special action as well, and this one here, the survivalist, can add a resource die or a doom die to a defence roll, and we'll talk about defence rolls in a bit. So they can move, so this one can move two spaces. They can develop, and that's if you've got experience points, you can develop so you can learn new skills. Maybe you can build some sort of fortification on there as well. Yeah, or you can kind of revive an incapacitated survivor as well. So if you have a down teammate, you can bring them back as well. You can trade as an action, so you can swap what you got with another player, and that's highly important. You can attack, and we'll just talk about attack in a little bit because I really like how this works. Or you can request settlement aid, or you can search as well. Now, each settlement tile has, just like the zombie tiles, a number of icons. The one on the left is a settlement aid, so if you request that, that will give you a specific ability if you're on that tile. Or you can search, and again, there we go, search is on that, and if I search there, I would get 2 petrol tanks. But as I say, you can attack or request settlement aid, or you can search. You can't do all 3 of those. Everything else you can do there. So let's have a look at how we attack. So it's our survivors first go, and our first survivor that we're going to use is going to be May, the yellow survivor. Now, when she starts the game, she's going to come with 2 of her preferred resources, and as you can see, it's the crate there, so I do have 2 crate resource tokens, which I'll just put to one side there. And what we're going to do is we're going to move and we're going to attack. So we know that from here, May can move 2. So let's move her 2, and we're going to try and take out this zombie here. So we'll move her 1, 2. So I'm now adjacent to that zombie. That means I can attack that zombie. How do I attack? How do I attack? Well, this bugger, as we know, starts on the second spawn point already. So I need to get rid of this guy to kind of this go, otherwise he's going to start taking over the city. And to kill this guy, what I need is I need to roll or have access to resources which are, should I say, a crate and a backpack. Now we know May has 2 crate tokens because that was her kind of favoured resource. There we go. She has 2 crate tokens. That was her favoured resource. So what you do is you will roll 3 dice. And these 3 dice, what I'm looking for here is either a skull, which is any resource, or a backpack to be rolled. If I roll that, I can add my resource token to it of the crate. And what that means is I can then defeat that zombie. So let's see if this happens. Let's roll this. Okay. This has actually worked out pretty well for me. I don't actually need to use my 2 tokens because I've rolled... No, I haven't. Yes, I do have to use one of my tokens. What I've rolled is I've rolled a dynamite, which is no good for this particular zombie. I've rolled some ammunition, which is no good for this particular zombie. And I have rolled a skull, as you can see there. And as I say, that's any resource. So if I use that skull and one of May's tokens there, that means I have actually defeated that zombie. I can move that zombie off the board and I can get rid of that tile now. Now, had May been injured, I would then be able to recover 1 wound from May because of this, but she wasn't injured, but that's okay. That's kind of two May's moves gone. I could also develop, I could trade as well, but I don't have anything to develop or trade, but as you can see, I've created a hole here, and we all know what happens next is that hole is going to be filled with more zombies. So that's the first zombie done. That was easy. So the game is easy then. No, it's really not. The game is more difficult than chewing on a piece of 1,000-year-old flesh. You see, the beauty about the game is this variability in this massive stack of zombies that you're going to bring out onto the board. And the trick in the game itself into defeating the zombies is knowing which zombie to choose to fight, when to choose to fight it, and using the correct survivor for it. So the feral horde I just defeated, the level 2 feral horde. We know I needed a crate and a backpack to defeat that feral horde. I chose survivalist May because her favoured resource is a crate, and each player board is asymmetrical, so they have different abilities and different favoured resources. That meant I only had to roll the backpack, so I had a better chance of doing that. However, let's say if I'd have chosen the soldier, his favoured resource was is ammunition, and therefore I wouldn't have rolled it because there wasn't a crate that came up, and there also was, there wasn't a backpack that came up. There was just one skull there, so I wouldn't have defeated that zombie. So the beauty comes in absolutely choosing the right survivor with the right resources to get the right zombie. So, for example, as you progress through the game, and because you're shuffling the tiles up, this could come out fairly early on, you can see this ancient horde here, and this is a level 4 zombie, and it requires 2 petrol tanks and 2 sticks of dynamite to kind of defeat that zombie. May only rolls 3 dice, and she only had, at this stage, she only had 2 crates. There's no way that she would have been able to defeat this level 4 feral zombie with the resources that she's got. So as you play the game, as you trade with your fellow players, as you build up your experience, as you search in towns and get more resources, you will then build up your ability to start defeating more varied types and more difficult types of zombies. And that is a real beauty in this game itself. It makes it a frighteningly good threat management experience. So now we've done the opening phase, we've done the survivor phase, we're going to move into the zombie phase now, and this is where the zombies move. So I've progressed the game a little bit here. We destroyed a couple of hordes. We have one horde here which is ready to move, one horde which is already on the second movement point. So the zombies move by moving from their first spawn point to their second point on their map, on their tile. However, if, like this bugger up here, this little green bastard up here, you are on the zombie is on their second tile, and say there's a defender in that, a survivor in that particular settlement next to it, what's going to happen is this zombie is going to try and take over that settlement. So if the survivor wasn't there, then all that would happen is you would overlay the zombie tile on top of that settlement tile, and you can see that it's already overrun that settlement, and the map has constricted. You suddenly have one less tile that you have access to its abilities or to search from. But let's say, for example, your survivor was on there. What's going to happen is the zombie is going to try and overtake that tile, and your survivor is going to have to do a defense roll. Now this only happens obviously if your survivors are on the tile that they're trying to take out. Now a defense roll works pretty much the same way as an attack roll, except you don't have the ability necessarily to pick the right survivor for the job. You have to work with the survivor that's there against the zombie that's coming. So here we have the marshal on this particular tile, and we know this marshal's favoured resources is the backpack. And what do we have here? We have to roll a crate to defeat this zombie horde. So to try and defeat this zombie horde, I roll my 3 dice. I know that the marshal's 2 favoured resource tokens that he already has of the backpack are pretty much pointless at this stage for this zombie. They won't do anything for it. So I've got to hope that I either get a skull or a crate in this defense roll. So let's see. And there we go. I got 2 petrol canisters and yet another backpack. So that defense roll didn't actually work for me. That means the zombie is going to overrun the town. And the zombies will always overrun the town, trying to get to the main base as well. So I'm going to move my survivor back 1 space. The marshal is also going to take a wound token as well, so this is going to affect his overall health, and you can see he's got an overall health of 4 on his sheet. So the marshal's down to 3 health, and this tile is going to overrun that particular settlement. There we go, and you put the zombie back on its spawn tile there, and you can see that the town has already constricted now, and we've now lost access to that particular town tile or settlement tile with its resources and the ability to search there as well. And what you would also do there is, you would done the zombie move. If the big bad's on the board, he would also move, and then you would do your defense roll. But my defense roll there didn't pan out. Had I won, the zombie would have stayed back on that tile and you'd have put him back on his spawn point. But unfortunately, I lost, and therefore, I wasn't able to save the marshal from getting wounded and losing that part of the settlement. So then we go back to kind of the opening phase, and I'll just briefly touch on that because the gameplay has shifted ever so slightly. So that was a complete round of the game done, and now we're going to go back to the kind of opening phase. So if we look at the overall kind of layout of the board, things have changed a little bit here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to move this day tracker up. Okay, I would have got experience for defeating zombies there. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to reveal more hordes. So you can see that I have 2 open zombie hordes on here. I still have 4 survivors on the board. That means I have to reveal 4 more tiles. So I started first day with 4 zombies to attack. I killed 2 of them. Now I'm going to reveal 4 more tiles, and that means on day 2 I've got 6 zombies to attack. So let's do this. 1, and 2, 3, and 4. So let's put these zombies on here. Oops, that's upside down. And as you can see, you've no idea how these are going to get progressively worse. So here we have a level 4. We know if we defeat it, I've got to pull a Doom card out. We have another level 2 here. We have a Hollow Ones level 2 up there with an icon, which I'll come to in a moment. And we have a Radioactive Horde level 3, which is up there as well. Now, as I say, 2 of them we know have got kind of these contamination and fallout keys on them. The first one here is this, which means that the Horde will always move to overrun the helpless. And the helpless is these guys here. You start with them on your main base. You're going to move them around, try and protect them. If you lose the helpless, unfortunately, that's not a good thing for the game. And here we have an electricity token as well. And what the electricity is I need to place a power cut token on all adjacent settlements. Survivors cannot request settlement aid until this settlement is restored. So we'll go back here and we'll get some power cut tokens, and we'll place that on all adjacent. So that's that one, and that's that one. Now, we also have a couple of gaps in here as well now. So what I've now got to do is fill these gaps. So as you can see, I've got a gap here where city reaches the edge, where I have to put another tile, and another gap up here where city reaches an edge and put another tile. And that again is a beautiful part of this game. You're just constantly replenishing these green buggers as they constantly try to overrun you. It's a really simplified version of how this game plays, and I've not even touched on quite a few aspects. One of the first things you will do every day if you've uncovered a Doom card and put it on your Doom tracker is you can reveal those Doom cards, and Doom cards aren't good. For example, this one here, if you have this particular Doom card, the Smell of Death, it says place 1 contamination token on any 4 settlements adjacent to the main base. Or maybe it's this one here that says Creeping Fear, and this one says survivors take 1 wound if alone on a settlement at the start of the zombie phase. So these Doom cards are bastards. You're going to put them on the board, then you're going to unveil them in the next day, and if you get too many Doom cards on the board and you have to put another one on there, you have to start taking penalties for it as well, and those penalties are you can use the Doom die, which is potentially a better die to use. There are also these fortune cards, so each player board will tell you how many fortune cards that your player will start with, and these are these individual almost boon cards here, but they are completely random. So here, early settlers, you can place a settler token on the main base, and settlers you will move out to kind of place new settlement tiles on there. Or you can lock down, and 3 settlements of your choice can gain a garrison, and a garrison is a token or a building meeple that will allow you to strengthen that particular place. So that's the kind of fortune cards, and there's the Doom cards, and then also what you have is as you destroy zombies, you're going to get experience points depending on the level of zombie that you killed, and as you get experience points, you will then have the ability to start learning new skills as well. So maybe you want to become a doctor, and you can remove any 1 wound at a current settlement, 5 experience points to revive an incapacitated survivor, or maybe a scientist. In a day where you don't attack, collect 1 explosive resource, remove 1 contamination token from the current or adjacent settlement. However, they don't come easy. You have to destroy hordes to build up your experience, to get those skills. There is quite a lot to think about in this game. I think this game is going to be a surefire hit. Nothing, surely, is a surefire hit. And Yeah, there are just a few things, and when Richard asked me to do the preview of this game, I did say that, look, I don't expect payment, but I will also do an honest preview as well. I will tell the good and the potential development stuff on here. Now, we're a little way away from this game being launched, so there is kind of scope to make some potential improvements in the game itself, and I know that Richard is doing further and further iterations as well, and I think it will improve on every single gameplay. There's so much to like here, but there are a couple of things that potentially may need working on. Let's just talk about the rulebook for starts. Now, this is a work in progress, so it's not fair to judge it on this rulebook, but it's not necessarily laid out in the best fashion to make it intuitive to play the game. Don't get me wrong, the gameplay is relatively simple and straightforward. I think the rulebook just needs a bit of a brush up because it kind of overcomplicates things as well. The other thing as well is that some of the icons, there's quite a lot of icons to keep track of. As you can see, there are kind of Fallout icons, there are development and day tracker icon keys, there are settlement icon keys, and what happens is you can potentially have too much going on and you may well forget stuff, and that's happened a couple of times with me, where there's an icon that I haven't picked up on a particular zombie piece, and unfortunately it's just made it difficult to kind of to remember to do everything on every single icon that's in play at any one time, because there is a lot going on at any one time. The other thing as well, which is more of a minor thing, is potentially the colours chosen, and again, this is a development copy, so I'm expecting things will change a little bit. As you lay out these tiles on the board, it becomes a little bit difficult to try and distinguish where you need to put new zombie tiles, i.e. what is an open settlement tile as opposed to what is a zombie tile. So that, you know, if there was a little bit more clarity there, that would be good. Other than that, and these are all developmental things from my perspective, I understand that this may not be the, that Richard is totally happy with what's in there, and other people may think differently as well. Don't get me wrong, this is a fantastic game. I think it just needs a bit of a brush up and a bit of a kind of fine tuning, just trimming a few things out, because there's a lot going on, potentially just a tad too much going on. Maybe just streamline it a little bit and you will have this wonderful, wonderful experience. Look, for me, it kind of combines something like, I don't know, say Dawn of the Zeds with a game which, Dungeon Degenerates, where you're uncovering new bad guys as you explore the landscape. I think it's this wonderful kind of melange of a number of genres that have molded into this zombie genre, which, working in this settlement phase, and this constricting settlement phase, it's almost like, you know, the room in Star Wars where Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Chewie and C-3PO are down in the trash compactor. That's what this feels like. It's like the walls are constantly closing in and you're trying to find a way to stop those walls closing in. And I think, you know, that is the essence of this game. There is a beautiful, beautiful, fun, exciting experience to be had with Outbreak. And that's it. Thank you very much for joining me on Not Board Gaming's first preview of a game, and that game was Outbreak by Richard Davis and Dark Frontier Games. Look, I am after I finish this review, I've now got to box this game back up, put it back in the packaging and send it back to Richard, as it's a prototype, and of course they've got more work to do on the game, and I genuinely don't want to, because in the kind of couple of weeks I've had this game, I've played it maybe 5-6 times, and I've had an utter joy playing it each and every time. There is a really special experience here that I think, when it comes out on Kickstarter, you're all going to enjoy. I can see a wealth of possibilities in terms of expansions for this game if it's successful, because there's just so much you can do with the theme and with everything that's there. So for me, I absolutely love this. As I said before, it's a frighteningly good game and certainly one to get your teeth into, and I can see it being enjoyed by many, many people for many, many years to come. So once again, thank you very much for joining me on this very special preview episode of Not Board Gaming. I'm your host, I'm Mark. Do remember you can always follow us on Instagram and on Facebook, and that's Not Board Gaming, always BORED. Do check out our other videos, and don't forget to like and subscribe subscribe to the channel for more great content, reviews, previews, unboxings, etc. One final thing to say from me: if you can't find anybody to play with, there's nothing wrong with playing with yourselves. Until next time.